The night was heavy with silence, except for the hum of cars passing below. Their headlights flashed across the steel beams of the bridge, streaking like broken stars. Standing at the edge was a girl, barely 18, her hands trembling against the cold railing. The wind whipped her hair across her tear-stained face, but she didn't move it away. Her eyes stared down at the rushing river as if it were calling her name. Her chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. "No one would notice if I was gone," she whispered into the dark. Her voice cracked as though even the air resisted hearing her words. For weeks, she had carried a weight so heavy she could barely breathe. At school, she was invisible. At home, her parents were too busy fighting each other to notice her silent cries for help. Her friends, if they could be called that, had drifted away one by one, too wrapped in their own lives to care. Every failure, every rejection, every lonely night had built up until the pain felt unbearable. She closed her eyes, tightening her grip on the railing. Her legs trembled as she leaned forward, ready to let go of the world that seemed to have already let go of her. And then a voice cut through the night. "Don't jump." The girl's head snapped around. Out of the shadows stood a man. His clothes were worn, his jacket frayed at the edges, his shoes scuffed from overuse. His face was rugged, tired, marked with lines that spoke of battles fought not with fists, but with life itself. Yet it wasn't his appearance that caught her, it was his eyes. They were weary, yes, but filled with something she hadn't seen in a long time, genuine concern. The man raised his hands slightly, not in command but in gentleness, like one would approach a frightened animal. His voice was soft but steady. "Please, don't do this, not tonight." The girl's lip quivered. "Why do you care? You don't even know me." He stepped closer, careful not to startle her. "You're right, I don't know you, but I know pain. I know what it feels like to stand where you're standing, to think the world would be better off without you." His throat tightened. "But it's not true, it never is." She shook her head, clutching the railing tighter. "You wouldn't understand, nobody does." A faint, broken smile touched his lips. "Try me." He drew in a long breath, as if gathering the courage to open the locked doors of his own life. "I'm a single dad," he began, his voice cracked, not with weakness, but with raw honesty. "I've got a little girl at home. She's 7. Her name's Lily. Brightest smile you'll ever see, and I'd do anything for her." The girl glanced at him, curiosity flickering through her despair. "But it's not easy," he continued. "I work 2 jobs. Some nights I don't even sleep. Some nights I eat nothing so she can have enough. I've stood in grocery aisles with only a few dollars, wondering if I should buy bread or milk, because I can't afford both." His hands trembled slightly as he shoved them in his pockets, his eyes lowered. "And there were nights I thought of giving up, nights I sat on the edge of my bed, staring into the dark, thinking maybe the world would be better off without me. But then I'd hear her laugh in her sleep, or she'd run into my arms the next morning, and suddenly I had a reason to hold on." He lifted his eyes to meet hers, voice firm though his eyes glistened. "If I had given up, she would have lost everything, and I believe," he paused, searching for the right words, "someone out there would lose everything if they lost you too." The girl's grip loosened on the railing. Her body shook with sobs that had been trapped for far too long. Her words tumbled out in broken pieces. "I feel invisible. At home, no one listens. At school, I don't matter. Every mistake I make just proves I'm worthless. And tonight, I couldn't take it anymore." The man didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix her pain with shallow words. He just stood there, listening with an intensity that made her feel, for the first time in years, truly heard. When her voice broke into silence, he stepped closer, gently holding out his hand. "I don't have much," he said softly, his voice almost a whisper in the wind. "I can't promise you an easy life. I can't promise that the pain will disappear tomorrow, but I can promise you this. You don't have to face this night alone. Take my hand. Let's get through tonight together." Her eyes locked on his hand. It was rough, calloused from years of hard work, yet steady and strong. For a moment she hesitated, trembling on the edge of both fear and hope, and then, slowly, she reached out. Their hands touched, and she stepped back from the edge. The two of them sat together on the cold metal of the bridge side by side. She poured out her heart in fragments, her loneliness, her fears, her failures. And he listened, not with pity, but with understanding, nodding gently, offering comfort through presence more than words. Hours passed. The sky, once dark and heavy, began to lighten with the first strokes of dawn. Birds stirred awake, and the hum of morning traffic began to replace the silence of the night. As the sun rose, painting the sky with shades of gold and pink, the girl whispered almost to herself, "Thank you for saving me." The man smiled faintly, though his eyes betrayed the weight of his own struggles. "No," he said gently, "you saved yourself. I just reminded you that you're worth saving." The girl wiped her tears, looking at him not as a stranger anymore, but as proof that even in the darkest nights there are lights we don't expect to find. They stood together, watching the sun rise, and for the first time in a long time she felt a flicker of hope, small, fragile, but real. As they walked away from the bridge, two souls scarred but not broken, the girl realized something powerful. Sometimes the very people who feel like they have nothing left to give end up giving the most. And sometimes a single act of kindness is enough to pull someone back from the edge, not just of a bridge, but of life itself. In life, we often carry battles that no one else can see. Pain hides behind smiles, and silence often masks the deepest cries for help. That night on the bridge, a struggling single dad who had every reason to give up himself became the very reason someone else chose to live. It reminds us of a simple truth: kindness doesn't require wealth, status, or perfection. Sometimes it just takes a listening ear, a gentle word, or a hand held out in the darkness. The young girl walked away from that bridge with hope, and the father walked away with a reminder of his own strength. Both scarred, both struggling, but both alive, and both proof that even broken people can heal others. So if you ever feel invisible, remember this: you matter. Your story isn't over yet, and sometimes your survival will become the light that saves someone else. Hold on, because tomorrow may just be the day everything changes.